In this video, we're going to look at the new UniVersus CCG Godzilla Challenger Series King Ghidorah and Rodan Challenger Deck. This is a complete deck in a box, and actually these Challenger decks are some of the strongest Challenger decks that they've made yet and are a perfect entry point if you are a fan of the Kaiju franchise that everyone in the world knows. You can pick this deck up and start crushing your opponents right away with it. Let's take a look at it. What's up everyone, it's Dan with Maindeck, and welcome back to another UniVersus CCG video. If you enjoy when we cover UniVersus here, let me know it down below by subscribing to the channel, leaving a comment to let me know that you're here and you're interested in this, because we got a lot of super awesome UniVersus content coming, and I want to make sure I find you guys. So in this video, we're going to be going over the Godzilla Challenger Series King Ghidorah and Rodan decks. We have another video, if you missed that, going over the Godzilla and Mothra deck. That'll be linked at the very end. In case you missed it, you can go ahead and watch that one as well. But the intention of this video is not to give you a full, deep strategy dive into this deck, but just to go over what you are going to get in this product if you go pick it up when it releases at your LGS on June 21st, 2024. So you have an idea of what's inside the box and what this deck is like. See if it's something that you want. So I've already, as you can see, I've very elegantly cracked open this. Let me know if you open in the comments down below your products as elegantly as I do. We're going to pull out what our contents are, and the contents of every box here is going to be roughly the same, except we do have the spicy collector's booster pack that has some different cards in each one. So we'll open this at the very end and show you some of the stuff you can get in this. This includes foils and an alter card from both decks across either one, so you get cards either from the King Ghidorah deck or the Godzilla and Mothra deck inside this, and we'll take a look at that in a little bit. There's also a Challenger Series guide that just shows you all of the cards in the Godzilla Challenger Series, so you can take a look at, you can see what are the cards in the other deck. This has the Godzilla cards here, and then the King Ghidorah deck cards here, and you can, there's even got little boxes if you want to track your collection in here or something, but nice just to have a full color guide to the products that you're going to get in here. And of course, most importantly, we do have the deck right here, so let's crack that open. All right, so we have the deck open here. Now, right away, straight away, we can see one of the really cool things I like about this Godzilla Challenger Series is that there are 3 characters in each box. This is King Ghidorah and Rodan, but also has a different version of Mechagodzilla than the Mechagodzilla that is in the Godzilla and Mothra deck. So you get 3 different characters, and you can use any of these characters to play this deck because they do all share the Void symbol, so feel free to just take a look, pick your favorite one. Let's start by taking a look at all 3 of these characters and show you. I'm really pumped to talk about King Ghidorah because I think this is the coolest design in the set. Super, super thematic. So the King Ghidorah character card is a 6-hand size character with only 10 health, which sounds terrible. How are you going to live? But the really neat thing is that at the start of the game, it starts with 3 King Ghidorah counters on him, and then if you would ever lose the game due to your health being reduced below 1, you instead remove a King Ghidorah counter. That's right, King Ghidorah has 3 heads, and you're going to have to chop off all 3 in order to defeat him. And he returns to maximum health. So this is so sweet because you can have taken, if you've taken 9 damage, you have 1 health remaining. It does not matter how much damage your opponent does next. If all they can do is punch in another attack for 7 damage, it's going to do the 7, and then immediately King Ghidorah will go back up to 10, and you've effectively gained whatever that remaining damage was as like bonus health. It was damage you didn't have to actually take. So this is like pseudo 30 health, but actually kind of more than that, which is really cool. And the theme in this deck that you're going to see is actually going to be removing cards, which in other card games would be called banishing or exiling or something like that. But we have, every character has effects that involve removing cards. This says commit, remove 1 card from your hand, choose 1 attack or foundation in your discard pile and remove it. You may try to play that card this turn, which can be playing as a block as well, keep in mind. So this is a really powerful ability. It allows you to commit King Ghidorah in order to trade a card in your hand, permanently lose that card, to be able to replay any card in your discard pile, which is crazy card selection for closing the game out as well. So truly the Emperor of the Cosmos here, a massive health pool, and the ability to filter in the exact card that he wants at every turn. Very, very cool. Now we have Rodan, the giant monster of the sky, kind of one of the anti-heroes of the Godzilla universe. Has enhanced Tenacious. Remove the top card of your discard pile. So there's our remove again. You're removing discard pile this time. This attack is plus X or minus X speed, where X is the printed block modifier of the remove card. So character who can on every single attack, as long as you want to remove a card permanently, can get a plus or minus X speed, which can be anywhere from 0 to 3 or 4 or more, depending on how bad the blocks are you put in your decks. We'll be keeping an eye out for any really strong blocks in here, really weak blocks in here, really high block modifiers that can be really good buffs for Rodan. And then also as commit, look at the top 2 cards of your deck and put them back in any order. If you have 4 or more attacks, you remove file, you get to look at the top 4 instead. So once per turn, you actually get to set up the top 2 or 4 cards of your deck, which in a lot of card games isn't great. In UniVersus, that means you set up your checks as well, so it's directly manipulating your resources, which is really, really cool. And then finally, the version of Mechagodzilla in this deck has enhanced remove the top 3 cards of your deck. 3 removed, which is going to mill you out very, very fast. This is a very dangerous game plan to play with the Bionic Menace here, but has this attack gets +2 speed and +2 damage, so you get to +2/+2 every single attack as long as you're willing to remove those cards for it. And then has a response after you take damage from an attack, you can commit them to commit 1 rival foundation, which then can let you selectively deal with the cards that might actually stop your big attacks or something, ruin your opponent's day a little bit. So yeah, that's Mechagodzilla. I think of these 3 characters, I think King Ghidorah is by far the coolest thematically, but they are all really neat characters that can push a lot of cool damage as long as you're willing to be a little more self-destructive, which is what we're doing in this deck. Now, we'll show you some of the cards here. We're not going to go through every single card in the deck, but there are some that we definitely want to point out. The action card, Combined Firepower. This is getting a little bit of chatter right now because this is a cool action that does not count towards your progressive difficulty while it's in your pool, but furthermore, you can actually play this from your discard pile with this response after you remove a card to pay a cost, which all of these do. All of these characters do that on their face. Then you can try to play this card during this attack, and it only is a 1 difficulty, so it's not going to be too hard to play. And then has Enhance Mill 4, which is the reason you're going to be playing the actions for this Enhance. Mill 4, this attack gets +1 damage for each non-foundation mill this way, so it is ultimately a damage buff you'll be able to play out there during the attack of your choice. I do like that the Mill 4 is effective for getting more cards in for Rodan to remove, or if maybe you don't want to remove the current top card because it doesn't have a good block modifier. That Mill helps you kind of set that up as well. It does have a 3 block mod as well for Rodan, which is cool. Here is Golden Death, which is an asset that has Rival's turn, remove if there are 2 or more attacks in your Rival's card pool, they remove 1 card from their hand. So a little bit of this. Again, this is a Void-themed deck as well, so there's a lot of like hand attack kind of stuff happening. And then as a form, you can remove this, name a card type, then reveal the top 3 cards of your deck, and add all cards of the name type to your hand and discard the rest. How many games have you had where you are sitting there, you're like, I just need to find attacks to win the game? Having this in play lets you suddenly just go, okay, attack. And then you will get to dig through. If you don't find any attacks there, then maybe you can start activating some of your draw effects to find them. Otherwise, you'll get the opportunity to draw every single attack on the top of your deck back into your hand with Golden Death. So that's very cool. We'll go through the attacks as well, because the attacks are, of course, super important. I want to point out, I didn't mention this in the other video, but we have had a template change as well, where now the keywords are right up below the names, and that's going to be how it is going forward. And that is super exciting, because a lot of players have been requesting that. It's so much easier to see these keywords when they're right there. So Death from Above is a 6 difficulty attack. Here's a 4 block mod that's good for Rodan, and obviously Rodan's right on it here. 6 high for 3 damage, and has Enhanced Remove 1 attack from your discard pile. This attack gets +X damage, where X equals the removed attack's printed damage. A cool way to... Attacks often have pretty good block modifiers, so you can use this to remove an attack from the top of your discard pile, so that Rodan's can then kick in on whatever the card underneath it is, maybe for a block modifier that gives a bigger stat buff. And yeah, this is why this only has 3 damage, because this can suddenly add a bunch of damage to your other attacks based on whatever other attacks you have in the deck. And then Enhance, if you have 8 or more cards in your removed pile, draw 2 cards. That is just insane. No wonder this is a 6 difficulty attack. We have Try Gravity Beam. This is a 4 difficulty attack, 4 mid for 5. Deadlock, stun 3. We saw that on the other ultra rare in the other deck as well. So it's just there as the game goes along. Deadlock is they have to have at least 11 foundations or more in their pool. Then in their stage, then you can stun 3. Enhance Destroy Foundation. If you have 2 other attacks in your card pool, look at your rival's hand and remove a card from it. More of that hand attack. As well as Enhance if at least 1 of your cards has been removed this turn. This attack gets +2 damage against all these characters. That should always be the case as well. So for a 4 difficulty attack, this is a pretty hefty card that also can attack the cards in their hand. So pretty strong. That seems really good. We have Foundations, Monster Zero, and Supersonic Flight. These are both really sweet. This one in particular lets you change a zone to high, which I love for Rodan coming in and sweeping the opposing monster away. You're going to change your attack to a high with it, which is really cool. And it has a cool response here. After this card is removed due to an effect, to pay a cost, you get to draw a card. So when this is removed from anywhere, look, again, another 4 block modifier. So you can remove this with Rodan to get a +4 speed buff and then draw a card. It's like, that's really crazy. Getting to our non-shiny cards, your Falling Crush is a 3 difficulty, so nice little kind of a glue card in your string. 3 low for 3 with Enhance. Remove 1 Foundation. This attack gets +2 damage. Pretty straightforward, but for these 3 difficulty attacks, we're not expecting the world. It just kind of does stuff, and it removes Foundations, which can again trigger things like Supersonic Flight, which is pretty cool. Focus Gravity Beam. This is a powerful 3, stun 1. 4 difficulty, 1 low for 4 with Enhance. Remove 1 card from your hand. Remove this card after it resolves. So not only it does cost you a card from your hand, but it does remove something, which is, again, for turning on all your other remove effects. But then it pulls this right out of the card pool once it's resolved, which is about all you can really ask for a stun 1. With a low block mod, the opponent probably has to try and spend a block if they don't want to not take a bunch of unnecessary damage. You can also pump Powerful into it as a way to close the game out, which is pretty sweet. Multiple Bites. This is a 4 difficulty, 3 mid for 6 with Enhance. If you have removed a card this turn, draw 1 card. What more can you ask for? You can remove this card to then draw a card, and then use this to draw another card. So these characters are able to fill their hand pretty easily at the cost, of course, of you are constantly removing and drawing. So you're milling yourself fairly fast in here. You do have to close the game before it gets a little too late. I want to make sure we find ways to do that. Overwhelming Gravity Beam. This is a 5 difficulty attack, 1 mid for 5. With first Enhance, if this attack is blocked, it still deals half damage, rounded up. So sort of a pseudo throw effect on this. And then Enhance, if you have removed a card this turn, your rival commits a Foundation. Again, more payoff for that. That's going to make it hard to block this deck. And even if they do block it, it's effectively a throw without the keyword. It's still going to deal half damage, which is sick. Swooping Talons, this is our 4 difficulty, too high for 7. Lots of lower speed in here, which makes sense because Rodan's already going to be buffing speed a ton if you're playing Rodan, or King Ghidorah, I guess, King Ghidorah will just exist for a long time. Eventually you wear your opponent down. This one does have EX3 as well. This is what we call a French vanilla card. Just has 1 little keyword, otherwise is a blank ability, but effective for the deck. 7 damage is a ton. Now, Battle for Dominance, this is the start of our Foundations here. We're not going to go through every single Foundation, but they all kind of play into the same thing that we've been talking about. For example, this one is you can flip it to remove a card from your card pool, and if you did draw a card, that will turn on if you've removed a card, effects, but not if you've removed a card as a cost. The cost of this is flipping. The removing part is not part of the cost, it's part of the effect there. So it's important to keep that in mind. Make sure you're watching for the colon, which dictates a cost versus not a cost. Here we have Evasive Maneuver, just a sort of a speed hate thing that's going to hate, especially on low speed attacks. Galactic Monster, this is a cool card. I love effects like this. You may try to play this card as a form from your removed pile. So you can actually remove this, and then it basically acts as if it's in your hand. Only to play it as a Foundation. But when you put it out there as a Foundation, it has Enhanced Commit. This attack is +2 damage. If your rival has 10 or more Foundation, it gets +4 damage instead. But this commit to add damage, again, like I said, you do have to close the game out with these characters, so that is a way to pump that extra damage on there. And who can argue when you can just remove this for any of your other effects and then just play it later on a future turn without going down cards in hand? That is so huge. Yeah, so we have Malicious Evil here. Just going to be a little bit of Foundation hate. This is our kind of obligatory self-destruction card to help you manage your Foundations. Destroy ones you've already committed for value or get yourself out of deadlock. This one gives your attacks speed in particular. Relentless Challenger, I went over this in the other video, so I'm going to go over it again here. Deflect is a new keyword from the latest My Hero Academia set, Girl Power. This allows you to play this card as a defense, not to block, but with no check required. Instead, you just get to add it to your card pool after the block step to reduce the damage by whatever the deflect number is. And this one, it's deflect 2. So same as the other deck, also has a deflect 2. Really nice for that clutch, like I can't pay for a block right now, but I can use this to reduce damage, or I don't want to pay for a block on this kind of dinky attack. I'll just reduce the damage to 1 or 2, take it, and then I will go ahead and save my other cards in hand to block more stuff later. But this one is really sweet. It's on a 2 difficulty foundation with a 6 check. We love the 6 checks. It has enhance if you have 10 or less health. This attack is +1 or -1 damage to a minimum of 1. And with King Ghidorah, of course, you always have 10 or less health, because that is his whole thing, because he sits at 10 health and then has the 3 heads. So that is it's actually a really, really sweet card in here, and I appreciate that there's 4 of it. Here's our one of our Zero Diff Space Terror, just to flip to get some extra damage. And then Triple Trouble, flip, your rival discards 1 card. They remove 1 foundation or 1 momentum to cancel it. So a powerful ability just to say you have to discard something unless you're willing to lose something else. So that is that deck. Again, you are not going to get a full 4 of everything here, but you at least get 2 of, so it just takes 2 copies of this deck if you want to have a playset of everything. But right out of the box, this deck will play just fine if you're looking to get into the game with Godzilla, and especially you're a fan of King Ghidorah or Rodan, and or maybe you just thought these abilities look really cool, because I quite like, I really do like both of these, King Ghidorah and Rodan. They're both very cool cards. You can totally pick this deck up and win games at your locals with it, as it is a functional deck. But in addition to the deck, of course, we are going to get this collector booster pack. So before we end the video, let's take a quick look at what is inside our collector booster pack. And then at the very end, if you want to see the Godzilla and Mothra deck, make sure to click the link that'll appear at the end of this video here to go to that one and check that deck out as well. But inside our collector booster pack, we are going to get some basic foils. So these are going to include foil versions of non-foil cards. So here we have a foil Flying Zap from the Godzilla and Mothra deck. We have a foil Moth Monster. There is also an alt art card in here, though, and it could be, if it's an alt art character, those are the extremely rare ones. And we're hoping for it, but they're very hard to get, so we'll see. We had a Moth Monster Foundation. We have Swooping Talons. That's from this deck here. That's that French Vanilla with the EX. Here's our alt art card, and it is Tri-Gravity Beam. Okay, not bad, though. Not bad. It isn't King Ghidorah, but it is Tri-Gravity Beam, which is actually the ultra rare attack from this deck. Let's pull it out here. You can see the example here of the difference between the regular Tri-Gravity Beam and then the alt art one. And I mean, this art is cool, but this is the winner, right? This is definitely the winner here. So Tri-Gravity Beam alt art is very, very cool to get. I'm super pumped about that. And then we have a foil Destructive Slam and a foil Focused Gravity Beam in here as well from the Godzilla deck and then the King Ghidorah deck. So this artwork is incredible. Obviously, if you are a Godzilla fan, I'm sure this artwork is resonating with you. We even had a little Godzilla mat in the background to put this on. I hope you enjoyed looking at this. I hope if you're a Godzilla fan, you go check out your LGS, ask them to get in these Challenger decks. Again, they're releasing June 21st, 2024, so you don't want to miss out on those when they do hit the shelves. Make sure your LGS is ordering those in. You can pick them up. MSRP on these, I believe, is like 35 bucks. You do get that full deck, including a bunch of foils, and that collector booster pack. If you do want to get the full playset, you do need 2 copies of the deck, but I'm not even sure you need that, because look, you can. I got a 3rd copy of the ultra rare here. Maybe that's plenty to play, so it's totally fine. Just pick one up, go rip it open, start playing and having fun. These are very powerful decks, and you will be able to keep up with a lot of your opponents with these decks. So I hope you guys enjoyed that one. Let me know what you thought about this deck in the comments down below. Check out the Godzilla and Mothra deck at the end of this video, and we will see you guys in the next one.